good afternoon everyone, I hope you're all well. Just into the first week of December now, so after 10 days of fairly rough conditions and weather, mainly the wind, I haven't been able to get out fishing. Today an opportunity has come up, so it's just after 1 PM. So what I've decided to do this afternoon into the evening is I'm going to head to the North Norfolk coast. Now over the weekend we had 40 and 50 mile an hour gales from the south, which meant anywhere on the east coast, Suffolk or Norfolk, was pretty much unfishable. So North Norfolk coast was an option. Our match was moved from Yarmouth to the North Norfolk coast on Monday night. Unfortunately I couldn't fish that, and they did get a few fish. They were just up the coast a little way at Codling, which is just to the left of Weybourne, where I'm heading to tonight. So I'm going to do something a little bit different from what I normally do. Rather than just set up down into the bay towards the wreck on the left hand side as you get to Weybourne, what I'm going to do is just head right and just go a few hundred yards underneath the cliffs to the right, and that is a little bit of rough ground along there. Now this time of year we're always targeting the elusive unicorn or codling or cod, and so if we're going to get one on the North Norfolk coast, this is probably one of the areas which is worth giving a go. So tonight's tide is a 5 PM high, so say just after 1. I should be there and fishing by 2ish, so 3 hours up to the top. Then I'll fish a couple of hours over, which will be in darkness, which is really going to make a difference, as you can see by the weather conditions today. Bright sunny conditions now. 4 degrees C this morning when I got up. It's now 7 degrees, and by 4 o'clock it's going to be dropping back down to about 5 or 6 degrees. So I'm going to try and get tucked in under those cliffs there. Now the wind was still supposed to be 20 plus mile an hour from the south, which obviously is sheltered there. It's off your back, so the cliff there will do the job of protecting me, but it's actually dropped a lot more than what they said. And if we've probably got 10 mile an hour, if that, at the moment. It might pick up later on. I think it's due to over the next couple of nights, and the temperature's also supposed to plummet over the next couple of nights to sort of zeros and maybe even a minus on Friday evening or Saturday early morning. 40 minutes trip down the A140 for me. I should get into the car park at Weybourne, hopefully get parked up on the left hand side there where I normally do, get some gear together and get over and start fishing. Well, welcome back everyone. I've made it down to the beach at Weybourne, and as you can see I've just moved along under the cliffs a couple of 100 yards up from the entrance. A few people down in the usual areas, down by the pipe and further up by the wreck. But this is going to be where I am today. I've quickly set up base camp, put the shelter up just to keep everything neat and tidy in there. Presuming this here is the high tide line. So this looks like the latest ridge of wet shingle, so should be okay. I've got plenty of room behind. That's something you've got to bear in mind if you ever do fish under these cliffs. Make sure you've got an escape route. Really big tides will come right up to the bottom of the cliff, and if you're up there halfway between here and Sheringham, you've got nowhere to go, so it's not a good idea. Check the tides. It's a 5.6 I believe today, which is quite low for here. Now I have, in the event of a real emergency, I've got a little escape route up there. It's a little warm path on the mud. If I needed to, I could get up out there, but always bear that in mind. Conditions, flat calm as you can see. Tide's now on the flood. It's just after 2 o'clock. So we've got 3 hours till it reaches me up here by the rod rest. And in that time I'm going to get some stuff ready, and I'll run through all the bits and pieces in a minute. So tackle wise today, I've just brought the one rod with me today, because I think if tackle losses are going to be mounting up, I don't want to be having to deal with 2 rods and losing 2 lots of gear and rigging up 2 times each time. So one rod, concentrate on the one rod. I brought my Tournament Match Pro with me today, and I've armed that at the moment with a fixed spool reel. It's a Shimano 7000 size. It's more like a 10 though, and that is loaded with 65-pound braid. Now I'm going to try the braid out, bearing in mind that I'm going to be using a rotten bottom, so with the braid and the heavier rod should be able to snap that rotten bottom easier than if I'm using stretchy mono. If that doesn't work out, or I keep getting cut off or whatever, then I'll give the mono a try. But in the past I've used the braid. There's no one else here to upset, so I might give the braid a go today. Let's take you on now to show you the end tackle. Okay, rigs are going to be very, very simple today. As you can see there, it's pulley rigs. They're 3-foot pulley rigs, but they're made up with the bare minimum components on them. So literally, instead of using pulley beads and stuff like that, flashy stuff, I've just got a bigger swivel on there for the pulley, couple of attachment there for the imp, and a little swivel at the other end for the hook length. That one's very similar. Keeping it very simple, again, just in case there's going to be tackle losses. Don't want to be losing loads of bits and pieces all the while, and these are easier to make up, and they're not too bad if I lose them. Also, moving on to the leads, as you can see, I'm sorted through my box and found a dozen old leads that I'm not really bothered if I do lose. So these are all around 6 ounce I've got today. I've got about a dozen of them. As I say, if I lose that lot, I'll be going home anyway. And using the rotten bottom system, that one there is the Gemini. A lot of you might have seen that, where you can put the lead in, pull up the little plastic disc, and that locks the lead onto the line. When it hits the water, very similar to like splashdown lead. That little disc pushes out and releases the lead, and it's then on a 15-pound rotten bottom. And this one here is a more cruder version of it. And so it's just a little bent clip at the top there, and I basically hooked that onto the imp. So the loop on the top of the lead there will actually hook into that loop there, that hook. That'll be hanging below the imp, and that will just take the pressure of the cast. Once it hits the water, that will discharge off of there, and that lead will be hanging on again. About 12 inches of 15-pound mono, which, should that get snagged up, it will either break at the knot at the lead end, or it will break at the knot at the clip end. That one is a little bit a cheaper version, if you like, than using the Gemini. The Gemini, I don't know what they are, about £3 for 5. Those clips are next to nothing for 10. So it's very rare that on the Norfolk coast that we use rotten bottoms, but this is one place where I've in the past been snagged up quite a few times, and the rotten bottom sort of gets you through it. Okay, so that's the Gemini version of the rotten bottom, and as you can see, the lead is held in place with that little boom, and the disc holds that boom up in position. On impact with the water, that disc is forced up, releasing the boom, dropping the lead, and as you can see there's the 15-pound line, and what I've done is twizzled it to keep it out of the way. That's attached to the bottom of the imp and at the top of the lead, so once that's discharged, that lead will be hanging on a 15-pound line, therefore giving you the rotten bottom. And I'll just show you the other one now. Okay, so here's the little clip version, and as you can see, that's just hooked onto the bottom of your imp. Then you've got the same foot of mono attached to the bottom of that clip and to the top of the lead, and the lead just literally hooks onto that Gemini clip there. Same sort of thing you use for up and over and drop down rigs. And basically, on impact with the water, that will literally come off of that hook down to the bottom, and there's your weak link, same as the other thing. It's a little bit simpler, easier to set up than the other one, and if you're losing a lot of gear, it's probably a little bit more cost effective. Yeah, that's the two versions of the rotten bottom. Let's get some bait sorted out now and get a rod out. As you can see, the tide now is creeping up the bank. Won't be long, we won't do some proper fishing. So just one final thing before I start getting the baits out and get baited up. The other thing I do when we're fishing rough ground like this is also scale down your hook link. So these, instead of being my normal 20, 25 pound or even 30 pound, they're on 15 pound, which is plenty big enough to land anything I'm liable to catch here today, I would have thought. And I'm also using some very old, these are ancient, I probably bought these in the 80s, I bought them in bulk and kept them. These are the blue Aberdeens size 3/0s, they're fairly fine wire, and so if they get hooked up on something I can stretch them out. But I mean, you can tell how old they are, just look at the size of those barbs on there. You don't get barbs like that these days. They are absolutely massive. But they're still as sharp as anything. As I say, they've been kept in a box in the dry, in the dark, and they're perfect for this type of fishing. If they hook up something on the bottom like a bit of net or a bit of rope or something, or other tackle, they will literally straighten out with a steady pressure, especially using this braid. So finally the baits for tonight. As you can see at the back there, I've got 2 or 3 wraps of black lug, frozen this time, all out the freezer. Won't make too much difference to what I'm going to be doing tonight. Got a little bit of squid, so I can match it up with a cocktail. And I've also got some razors and a few mussels there to just add a little bit different, something a little bit different maybe to the bait. So I can do lug and razor, lug and squid, lug and mussel, or a mix and match of all of them. So that's the next job now. Let's get some hook links sorted out and get a rig out. Well, there it is, the first bait. That's a black lug, razor, and a little mussel whipped on the bottom there as well. Plenty of hook points shown, as you can see down the bottom in the imp. Rigged up on the hook version of the rotten bottom. Now let's get that cast out. Tide's coming up nicely now. As I say, 5 o'clock high tide, so I've got plenty of time. I'm going to probably bang this out as far as I can, but a reasonable distance, I would say. Well, this braid tends to fly anyway. It's literally a straight off the ground, not quite off the ground, overhead thump. As you can see, that goes out a fair old lick, and you can feel it hit the bottom with a fair old thump. That's hard ground out there. And then, yeah, we'll just see what happens with that, tide-wise. I'll get organised and get another bait prepped, and we're fishing. That braid is obviously a little bit thicker, being 65 pound, but it's still only the same diameter as 18 pound, say, mono. I think it's about 32. I'm just going to tighten that clutch, set it off a little bit. Make sure that's nice and tight. I'm sure we'll also get a very good bite indication, obviously with braid. Okay, that's been out about 15 minutes now. Had a few little rattles earlier. That stopped. There's a little whiting or something hanging on there, I don't know, but I'm going to get it in for its first retrieve. We'll see how we get on. Fingers crossed we get it back. If we don't, it's no big deal. It's what I've actually expected, but let's have a look. It's pulled a little bit to the right, that I will say. It's off the bottom. You get it off the bottom, keep it going. Feels slightly heavy. Potentially a little whiting on there. Obviously, if you get a fish, it helps to get it off the bottom, away from all the rubbish. There we go, what we got on the top now. Well, would you believe it? I said about that hook, didn't I? 3-0. Should avoid the flatfish, shouldn't it? Yeah, okay. The smallest dab you could ever expect to catch, impaled on a 3-0. Lead system's worked anyway, so that's good. I'll quickly get him off and put back, and yeah, that's encouraging. Can't say it's the biggest dab I've ever caught, but it's a dab, and it's not a blank, and he's freezing cold, and I've got a long walk down to put him back, but there you go. Go for the second cast. I'm not going to go down the bottom, no need to do that. I can probably get it out as far as I need to from up here. So gentle off the ground again. Bump. I certainly feel that go down with a clonk, so it must be fairly rough out there. There you go. Second cast. And albeit a dab, save the blank. How it got that bait in its mouth, I will never know. I've moved the rod just to the side a little bit more to get a better angle. We'll see what happens. Moon's just made an appearance. It's just gone 3:30, so I think I'll probably, by the time I've been messing about with everything, it's about 3 o'clock by the time I put the first cast out. So effectively it's going to be 2 hours up and 2 hours down tonight, or today. I'll be happy with that. I've got the next squid and black cocktail on the needle, ready to slide straight onto the hook. And that's still tapping away. The problem is while that's covering the hook, you've got no chance of catching anything else, so you have to check and bring them in. And that's what I'm going to do now. That's about 20 minutes anyway. Just about see the lights starting to appear down there on the Sheringham lifeboat station. Yeah, there's nothing on there this time, I don't think. What I might do this time is just chuck it a bit shorter in case I'm going over the top of the rough. As I say, I want to be as near to it as possible. And try and keep that hook up off the shingle. Being the lead's just discharged. How's that happened? Because it's just broke at the knot. Now, what weird was that? Oh, there it is. I knew it weren't far. Okay. Yeah. I think it's when you tie direct to the top of a lead, it makes a little bit of a weak point. So I'll sort that out. So the new rig's all ready to go. Straight in and straight out. That's what I should do now. Keep that second rig baited up and ready to go. I feel that depth has increased even in the short time I've been here. Takes a lot longer to hit the deck. Right, let's sort that rig out. Okay, it's now just approaching 4:15 and I've got my lights on now. So I've got a floodlight for the front of the rest and the rod. Got my head torch on for baiting up. I just baited up that and repaired that first rig. The actual rotten bottom had several little nicks and digs out of it, and that's why it snapped off on the beach. So in effect it's doing its job, because obviously out there it's got to have been touching something rough to put those nicks in it. Very surprised I actually got the lead back. I think it was as it come out the water and caught the shingle, that was the final straw and it snapped off the rotten bottom, but I managed to retrieve it and it's all back tied up again. What I might do, if I find that 15 pound is getting ragged out on the bottom, I might up it to say 20 pound. I've got some 20 pound hook link in there. I'll change those little rotten bottoms over to 20 pound. Still be able to break it because it'll always go at the knot. I think the whiting have just turned up. Little stabby bites. Yeah, there we go. That's still there. Next rig's ready, so I'm going to deal with that straight away. If it goes once more, that's coming in. There it goes. Oh, that felt stuck on the bottom that time. Yeah, there's a fish on there. I feel it on this braid. You can feel every single knock and tap. Be surprised if the lead's gone this time. It definitely felt like it was stuck, and it doesn't feel like there's a lead on there now. I don't know what we got. No, the fish has just dropped off right on the shoreline. I've got the lead back. And the fish is gone. It's not on the beach anyway. A little whiting or something. Let's have a feel. The rotten bottom feels alright this time. I'm running my fingers down it and it's as smooth as the other one. Had those little pits and knocks in it. So, I'll quickly change rigs. The other one's all ready to go. A little bit of slack each time now when it hits the deck. We've got that other rod done and baited the other rig, and it's already going. So the toothy buggers have turned up. One thing I will mention is earlier on I showed you those hooks that dated way back when, probably 1980 odd, between 80 and 90 when I bought all those. When I was cod fishing on places like Bacton. There it goes, look. I better look at that because it's just bent right up. No. It definitely feels a little bit rougher when I'm picking it up now. The lead seems to be caught initially. Yeah, as I was saying, those hooks, I mentioned earlier that they've got quite a severe barb on them. You don't really realise that compared to modern day hooks, when you're trying to rebait, that big old barb is an absolute nightmare. It keeps the bait on and you have to fight to get it off, to be honest. So, and at the moment the hookup rate is absolutely disgusting. I've had 2 or 3 real good pulls in, and like this time the complete hook is exposed, so it's not masked or nothing. Let's get the other rig. Yeah, so a real job to get that bait off with those massive great barbs. I might change one of the hooks over to a more modern micro barb. It may be that that's stopping them from hooking themselves. Probably nothing to do with it, but seems weird. It's on the bottom, bit of slack, and then the rest. I can imagine with 2 rods it would have been a nightmare. Still getting some savage knocks on there. I haven't managed to connect with one yet. I've just changed over one of the hook links to a standard one. There it goes again. You can see if that improves things. It might be those hooks, those massive barbs are not penetrating So the next rig goes out, it's got a slightly heavier hook link and a standard, what I call a standard hook, which is one of the Mustad Viking up tides in 3/0. Much smaller barb. It will still bend out if I need it to. At the moment, touch wood, it ain't been too bad. Let's change that rig over. See if this makes a difference. It would be the normal sort of hooks I use these days for pennel fishing. 3/0. Bit of slack. So I'm getting plenty of bites. I haven't managed to hook one up yet. Another little jag. There we are. It's got to be on this time. Let's have a look. No. Yes. Yeah, I can feel a fish on there this time. It was initially quite hard, dug into the bottom. Fish on there definitely. Tap. As I say, it always feels much bigger on the braid. Let's just come up the beach. No, it's a pout. Not a decent pouting, to be fair. There you go. All pouting. And it's hooked right in the bottom lip on that better hook, so maybe those old-fashioned hooks have seen better days. Let's deal with this. A lovely little pout, and all we want is one of these with a few spots, a few stripes, and a bigger one of those hanging off the front. A little beard. We're halfway there. Let's get him put back. Same hook's gone on this one now as well. We've got a squid black lug wrap. Yeah, straight black's going out on this next one. See if I can convert some of these little rattles. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't really want the whiting tonight. I'd rather sit right through the whole session and have one really big pull down at the end there, rather than catch whiting all night. I could put a 3-hook flapper out and do that. Bloody rat or something run off, whatever it is. I thought I could hear something on the shingle. This has been rattling away for quite a while now. I've got something else on there. It's on the top, that's why it's not fighting. What have we got here? It's a whiting, I think. Yes. Ah, lead's gone. First time tonight the lead has actually gone. There you go. Yep, and that's as rough as anything, that. Snapped at the knot. Quite a chunky whiting. That's one thing you can say of this year, the stamper whiting have been quite good. We haven't had none of these silly little things, so they are actually worth catching. I've never even got a chance to get the bait off the needle this time. Another clonking great whiting. No wonder that pulled the tip over. Look at that, a bit of blood. That's took the hook quite deep, that. Stamp is unbelievable. Right, 2 rigs, both out of the water, not fishing. Let's see if I can get that out. Yep. Let's get you put straight back. It's been interesting. That's the first lead I've lost. And as I say, I'm feeling that 15-pound line is actually marked all the way along it with little nicks. Had another look, couple of little rattles on there already. I'm just waiting to get that in. Now the other rig's ready. That's the straight worm out there now on that one. We're just coming up to 6 o'clock now, so potentially only about an hour left. I'm only going to fish till 7. That'll be 2 hours down. It's a long walk then if I do catch any fish, right down the bottom and back up. I'll keep an eye on the conditions, I think, and maybe pick sort of slightly rougher conditions maybe. A bit more sort of overcast during the late afternoon and into the evening. It's always best to fish night, I think. These codling do show up, they're nearly always at night. And I'll probably try and give it another couple of sessions here. Alright, let's give that another bait change. That'll be just 6:15. Probably got maybe 2 more bait changes after that, so I can sort of suss out my worms, get them ready. I'll say probably 15 minutes. Bait changes will be the last cast at 7:15. Unless anything happens in the meantime. Small if it's on there. Can't feel any taps or kicks. Yeah, there is a small fish on there. I saw that literally just after it went out. What have we got this time? Another whiting, I believe. Yeah, no, there's a flatfish. Oh my god. It's another dab. That's took the worm. And that's took again, 3-0. It just shows you when they want that bait, they will take it. There's the hook and there's the bait, almost as big as the fish. And that was on that virtually as soon as it hit the bottom. Well, he couldn't swallow it because the bait was actually bigger than its mouth, but there you go. Nice dab, decent condition. Less than 5 minutes again. There it goes. I think it's still on there, covering the bait. I just felt something bang then. That lead must have just bashed on something hard on the bottom. A proper rock, sort of hard tap. And that is a small ting that time. That's almost bait size. Okay, 7:15. I just cast out that fresh bait, and I've just prepared the last bait of the night, ready to go out on the next cast. I'm still getting indications, quite a lot of indications. I'm not always connecting, but the little whiting seem to have moved in now. Don't so much mind catching those bigger ones. Those little ones are just a nuisance. They're jumping on the bait, masking your hook bait. Nothing else gets to see it. So, looks like we're going to blank on the old cod front tonight, but then if I'd have come down here on the first try and got one, you'd have probably thought something fishy going on, if you pardon the pun. So I will do a couple more throughout the winter. I still want to get one. Obviously a species hunt candidate as well for me. It's been an enjoyable few hours. So the time I got fishing it was 3, so with nearly 4 hours. Variety of dabs, pout and whiting. So once this next cast's out, I'm then going to start putting a few bits and pieces away and then head for home. Thank you very much for watching. It's killed half an hour or whatever. If you can't get out fishing yourself, the next best thing is to watch some. That's what I seem to do. That seems what I've been doing for the last 10 days really. It's just nice to get out and put a bend in the rod again. There it goes, look at that. There's a long slow pull that time, and a bit of a tap, and then a long slow pull. Come on. It's still there. Nope. How strange. Oh, there is a little fish on there, yeah, I can feel it now. I said about earlier I could have fished down the bottom, but I think it's an advantage on this sort of snaggy ground to be fishing up high, because you're pulling the lead up at an angle away from the bottom. Down there you're pulling it parallel to the bottom. So this probably helps with me not getting snagged up. Back to another chunky little whiting again. Better than the little pins. Quite a stocky little thing, that one. Right, the last rig all ready to go. I'll quickly change this over, get that out, start taking a few bits and pieces away. Just leave you there for a sec. Right, let's get this banged out, get input back, and start packing some gear down. Oh, you wanted that, didn't you? Right plump little body on it. Right, it's coming in now, 7 o'clock. I've had a few little rattles on it, nothing spectacular. Potentially something hanging on there. So I'm going to call it quits tonight. Thank you very much again for watching, and I'll catch you soon on the next one. Yeah, there was something on there. I think they're jumping on it within minutes of it going out. But they're not actually doing nothing. It's not much of a tide tonight. They're just sitting there hanging. And while they're doing that, you're not going to catch nothing else. That's a half decent one this time. And just have a look each time it comes out. You've got that slightly rounded body. You think, is it? Is it? No. Not this time. Another half decent whiting. The eye's bigger than his belly. But there you go. They fill in the gaps. One of these times it will be a codling. When? I have no idea.